This is In Real Time. I'm Costa Maragos. So a question being asked around the province today is, how safe is it for students to return to their classrooms? We do have an answer. It's complicated. Well, one person who thought he saw it all in the education system, well, that certainly has changed. His name is Bob Kowalchuk, and he is currently a member of Regina's Catholic School Board. Hi, Bob.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. You do have an impressive resume.
Thank you.
Your resume includes being a teacher, a vice principal, a principal, superintendent of the school board, and you also served as director of education with the Fowl Hills Qu'Appelle Tribal Council. And now you're dealing with a pandemic. So tell me, what is the biggest challenge you're facing right now?
Well, I know right now that when we look at all of the communication we're receiving from parents, from teachers, watching the media, I think we're really dealing with people's fears and concerns about how are we going to be able to create a safe enough environment, to create an environment where we can mitigate the amount of risk that kids have and staff have, and create a place where people feel comfortable to return back to work. And this has been an extremely challenging time in getting ready and getting to that point. But I'll still go back, and I think it's really about us dealing with people's attitudes, fears, and concerns about, is the place really ready for me to come back to?
What are some of those fears?
Well, I think the fear right now is there's a fear of people catching COVID. I think there's a fear about people transmitting COVID. There's a degree of concern that people are going to bring COVID into the school. But we need to remember that the king of transmission here really is the community. And that if we can control COVID at the community level and manage it at the community level through really good health surveillance, monitoring processes, testing, diagnosis, trace contacting, if that can be managed at the community level, then we certainly should be able to create environments that are safe enough.
But it seems to be, sorry to interrupt, but it seems to be managed at the community levels. I mean, when you look at the numbers in Regina, certainly. So what accounts for this continuous sort of, and you go online, there's a lot of criticism about how school boards and schools are handling it. What do you make of it?
I think a lot of people are looking at experiences elsewhere. I think a lot of people are looking at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, other places that are posting lots of the horror stories that have happened in other provinces where they've started early, they didn't have effective plans in place, and then they had to recalibrate their plans at some point in time and go back at it. I was watching a program this morning on CBC earlier about how they're preparing at Dalhousie to bring people back. I'm looking at the approach that we are essentially using in Canada in community by community, school division by school division, comparing to what's being done in other parts of the world. We are taking, I think we're taking a really fairly cautious approach on trying to mitigate as much of the possibility as we can. I mean, we can't guarantee everything 100%, but certainly taking all the steps we can. If we're looking at the kinds of chemicals and the kinds of processes we're using, I mean, I think we are seeing school boards that are really trying to be extraordinarily cautious, as cautious as they can be, and doing the best that they can.
Well, what do you make, though, and you mentioned the online concerns, and so I'll bring that forth since you brought it to our attention. What do you make of the online concerns expressed by teachers who are afraid to go back?
I think teachers right now are much like everybody else. Until they have enough information, until that they feel that they understand how the school boards are trying to mitigate it, until they actually see the working plans that are going to be developed school by school level, they're going to continue to have some of those. And I know that probably I believe we were on this morning in our board conference chair's call, we were told that the provincial plan at that classroom level, at that granular level, would be released on the 26th of August. So that's coming up fairly quickly. So once those plans are seen and teachers can see the plans right at the basic classroom level, I'm hoping that will help ease a number of the fears that people have. But people have a right to be concerned about their own health and their family's health, and we don't know everybody's individual health circumstances.
But how do you accommodate those parents who may, as reassuring as you may feel you are to them, and teachers and school boards, they may not want to send their child to school. So what do you do about that?
Well, I think that there's really two things you can. It's easy to say we're going to provide e-learning online for children, and if you look at the e-learning resources that are available to parents right now, all the major school divisions are offering some sort of an electronic-based programming or digital programming that their children can receive through teachers, through live or synchronous or asynchronous delivery methods of either live or not live delivery of the programming. So that's going to happen. But I think there also has to be an opportunity where kids need to have some in-class time with people. Right. But families also have an option that they could choose to become a registered homeschooler and take on homeschooling, which is a provision for under the Education Act. So it's not that parents won't have options. The real challenge will be is that parents who have multiple children in school who also rely on making a living, who really need to get back to work, because their lives have been totally disrupted. I think that's where we're starting to see a lot of other concerns raised.
You've been, you taught, you were vice principal,
Right.
you've walked school hallways, you spent a lifetime walking school hallways.
Yeah, I
How
have.
practical is it to be able to control the transmission of COVID in such tightly populated spots as we have in schools that on average have a class size of about 25 children?
Well, I think what we're going to see is that more than likely, it depends on the model that the individual school boards are going to pick. Some school divisions are going to bring people back in and all the kids back in because their schools may be small and they can spread the kids out and create a better social or physical distancing, and then putting masks on top of kids creates another level of security of preventing COVID. But at the same time, where you have large classrooms in the urban areas, that is where you really are the concerns are. How are you going to be able to address 25 or 30 or 35 kids in a high school class? And I think right now there are parents who are saying, I'm not too sure I can do that. Schools are concerned. So depending on the school division, some are going to offer hybrid models of classes. Some are going to be encouraging kids to take classes online. And I don't think that there is a magic answer or a magic bullet for any one family out there. I think families are going to have to decide what's in their best interest for their own selves, for their children, and do what they can. I think school boards are trying to do their very best and to offer the greatest amount of options for parents that they're able to stay connected and have the children complete their education.
Well, we'll wait for more details, as you said, on plans forthcoming.
I'd like to see
But thank you very much, Bob, for coming in and sharing your perspective on dealing with this.
Well, you're welcome.
Thanks.
It was quick. Thank you very much.